welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to make a little announcement before we get into this episode. First off, the mic quality for this is going to be a little different than normal. Glow and I were in the same spot, and we were using a mic that we don't normally use, so the audio is a little choppy, but we'll be back to normal for next episode, so don't worry. Second of all, we had promised to talk about a fan-written in question about Summerhall in this episode, but it had completely slipped our mind at the time of recording, so that will be included in the spoiler section of the next episode. Thank you, and enjoy our discussion on the chapter Dany 2.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of Morning Throners podcast. We're here to talk Daenerys Stormborn, all right, and her wedding to the cow.
I hear wedding bells.
Sexy chapter.
Oh, yeah.
My girl, man. I'm kind of weirded out that she's a 13-year-old, but she's still my girl.
Oh, the kinda?
Only kind of, yeah.
I had to take a shower after this one.
This one's bad.
Yeah, it was a little
Gets a little erotic.
He does he says that she's 13 in the beginning of the chapter, but he reminds you right before she rides away. She's like, she felt like a 13-year-old girl again, and you're like, well, fuck, this girl's about to get diddled by a 28-year-old.
Yeah, right.
I'm okay with that.
You know, I didn't think it was gonna happen.
Yeah?
Yeah, all the no's and stuff. I wasn't sure leading up to the end. I was hoping, but I mean, I knew going into this whole thing that George is a freak. So I mean,
He's a freak body. That's
I was taking Luke for a walk, and I got a text from Kyle, and I was like, we should hack George R. R. Martin's hard drive. I bet you we'd find a bunch of child porn.
no, I said they should check it. Like the authorities should check it.
Yeah, right. You wanted to find it.
That's what I told him. I was like, you can keep the child porn. I'll take Wins a Winner.
I'm telling you, that's the folder name. Wins a Winner. It's all just child porn.
Just full of child porn.
Pictures of kids.
All right. Well, getting into this chapter, Jeff, where we start?
So we just start with, I think they're just eating, right? It's Daenerys
Day
and
before, right?
Viserys and Jorah and Illyrio, and they're kind of talking. She's kind of describing the Khalasar and how they just kind of took over Pentos, 60,000 people, just a fuck ton of warriors
and guard
and women and children and slaves, and Pentos has doubled the guard. They're really worried with every passing day that they're just gonna get ransacked by this group of savages, and she's just kind of terrified.
Barbarians at the gate, pretty much. Yeah, just hanging out.
I think we talked about in the first chapter how one of the handmaidens said there's he has 100,000 people in his Khalasar, but then Viserys only says he has 40,000. Well, I think they make sense of it here. He has 40,000 warriors, and then a bunch of other too many to count women and children with him.
And slaves.
So it's probably 40,000 men.
And slaves.
And then
60,000
others.
Yeah, a shit ton of people.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Yeah, including slaves. Well, I don't know if they count slaves in the Khalasar, but they're there as well.
Fair enough.
And what you guys are saying, they're saying they need to double their guard.
Illyrio said they did, right?
Yeah, he said they did double their guard, and then Jorah jokes and says you guys are gonna be broke if you have to keep paying for people to protect the cities. You got to get her wed as fast as possible. Ha ha ha. And Viserys no, I'll have her wed tomorrow if I can be a king. He's just super serious all the time.
Yeah, he's being a big old puss.
And Illyrio tells him that he's gotta wait. And Viserys keeps pushing. He's how long do I have to wait? And he says a couple months, couple years, somewhere that time frame.
So hang on, is that what sellswords and bravos are? Is the hired guards essentially? I
think so sellswords are just mercenaries.
Okay.
And bravos I think are a subset of that.
Okay.
A certain style. I'm not 100% sure on the bravos thing.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they say that he's got to take 3 months to a couple years.
Why it's going to take
Do you
time?
remember why he says that?
He's got to go. He's got to take Daenerys
they take
back
their
to.
time. They're slow people.
Yeah, but they got to do something before they can invade Westeros.
Yeah, they
ritual.
gotta travel across the fucking.
He's got to take Daenerys back to.
Something about the omens and a ritual.
But
or
there's
something.
a word for it.
Yeah, so they said first they had to take
Dosh
Dany
Queen,
and present her to the boss Dothrak.
they have to take her to Bas Dothrak and present her to the Dosh Khaleen. So they don't really say what that is, but it looks like they're taking her to some place and presenting her to someone or some people.
That sounds like a priest or high shaman of sorts.
Something like
to
that.
me.
Shaman of sorts.
Yeah,
And it seems like
that's
this is just like every time there's a like wedding, or I don't know if they have like a highborn. Like what makes people important in an Dothraki society is kind of just like if you're badass.
Yeah,
If you can kill
shit,
people, you're
yeah.
So like that's like if you're badass and you have a wedding, you go present your wife
Isn't
to this
he
guy
the?
or this.
Isn't he like the most powerful?
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Child
Isn't,
right now?
isn't Drago like, or not Drogo, however you say it? Isn't he like the top, probably under this? I mean, like that's why he sounds like a shaman, because usually they regard the religious or ritualistic people a little.
You're saying the Khal is like a shaman?
No. I'm saying he's
the
like
Dosh
one.
Khaleen.
The Dosh
one, like,
Khaleen?
yeah, he's like the leader 100%, except the shamans get like this. They're like the special class. Or
I agree, but I'm just gonna say, I don't think this is a spoiler. Like they're not united. It's kind of like the Seven Kingdoms, how there's like different calls and they have their different Khalazars, and some are friendly with each other and some aren't. But it's not like he's the leader of all the smaller ones.
No, that puts it in perspective as well.
It's kind of just like their society. Their calls work the same way. The bigger call is going to be the one with the most power. If you're the bigger person, you can become the leader of the biggest call, right? But if there's another army that just like gets bigger because they end up taking more slaves or fucking more or whatever, then Drogo's no longer head dog.
More children, fucking more children.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could happen.
If they're fertile. Yeah, so that's why it's it. So he says because they have to make that trek to that city and present Dany to this person, that's why it's gonna take like a couple months, couple years, and then like you said, after that it just depends on when they feel like fighting, like when their omens favor war. And Viserys says like when Jorah's like explaining it, he says like a lesser man does not presume to berate.
No, he says a lesser man can beg a Dothraki.
A lesser man can
like,
beg, but must not presume to berate them.
Yeah.
And
So,
Viserys is like, I'm no lesser man, I'm the dragon, blah, blah, blah. And Dany thinks, he says, I'm no lesser man, the dragon does not beg. And Dany says, there are no more dragons. And then this gets into Dany's dream.
Yeah,
She got a big old.
It's a short dream as far as George R. R. Martin dreams go. George R. R. Martin can have like page-long dreams sometimes. So this is a short one. I got the whole thing here.
Viserys was hitting her, hurting her. She was naked, clumsy with fear. She ran from him, but her body seemed thick and ungainly. He struck her again. She stumbled and fell. You woke the dragon, he screamed as he kicked her. You woke the dragon! You woke the dragon! Her thighs were slick with blood. She closed her eyes and whimpered. As if in answer, there was a hideous ripping sound and the crackling of some great fire. When she looked again, Viserys was gone. Great columns of flame rose all around, and in the midst of them was the dragon. It turned its great head slowly. When its molten eyes found hers, she woke, shaking and covered in a fine sheen of sweat. She had never been so afraid, till the day of her wedding came at last. This might be sort of a weird transition, but Jeff's audio cut out during the recording. This is once we were able to reconnect to him.
Alright, back to the fucking dream. Alright, there was too much time without my voice, so I'm explaining this fucking dream. I think it's a strange dream, because it's Viserys just beating the shit out of Dany. And
I'm gonna let you finish, but hold on, real quick.
I'm gonna let you finish.
What are you,
I'm gonna let you
Kanye? I said
You
one
Kanye.
fucking thing. What?
I just want to, before we get into this dream, I feel like we should let Kyle go first.
Alright, well then I'll...
Just because he'll tell us if he knows.
Was he banging her? Was he banging her? Can we start there? Blood running down her thighs. Like that sounds like.
I feel like she would have mentioned that, but possibly.
That was all I got out of it.
So that was just what I was gonna say. Like, it seems like he's beating her, but then she's bleeding from her thighs. Like, is he like punching her in the cunt?
So what I wanted to ask
snatch.
Kyle was, is there any? Let's find out what Kyle knows about the Dany story from his being spoiled via the TV show.
Well, I know she's the mother of dragons. I know that these eggs are gonna become dragons.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I do know that. Obviously, I think everybody saw that this last season. And that's honestly probably about it. I don't know too much about her.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
she's the hottest woman in the Seven Kingdoms.
so the thing is, I don't think that there's much
They should
more
have picked
to
somebody
this.
better on TV then.
That's the thing is, like, I just didn't want Jeff to.
I knew I was
What?
going to start an argument.
I just didn't want Jeff to be tiptoeing around the dragons when Kyle obviously knows about the dragons.
All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Jeff. Continue.
No,
So it's kind of curious that she's getting beat up by Viserys, and she's scared of him being the dragon and waking the dragon, and the dragon being as woke as it can be, and then
Get woke.
get woke. And then she kind of like turns away, and then she turns back, and there's just like a lot of fire, right? And then the dragon looking at her.
Like
With the
Viserys, it
molten
almost like
eyes
it's
turns
like
its head.
Viserys almost turns into it.
Right, so that's kind of the thing. It's like, did Viserys turn into it, or is it like a different dragon?
to me, it fucked him up.
The
Oh,
dragon
yeah?
fucked
I
up.
was,
Yeah.
I was picturing like I don't even know if this is actually in that movie, but in Sleeping Beauty, isn't there a part where like the evil witch
Yeah. In
gets
the
like completely
cartoon,
blown up in fire, and then all of a sudden there's a dragon where the fire was?
green fire,
Yeah,
oh
green
yeah.
fire.
Yeah, I watched that movie all the time.
Maleficent.
That's what I was thinking. Well, I
I-
watched
I-
the Maleficent one with what's her face, and I think the same thing happened there.
Yes, and with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, babe.
Oh yeah, of course.
I've actually never seen the movie, so I cannot
Yeah,
comment.
me
Never
either.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, yeah. When I
The
was like
fucking end.
6.
The Wicked
I
Witch.
don't remember. I
becomes the
don't
fucking
remember.
dragon.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like fucking a Fantasia show at Disneyland or Disney World?
No.
The fuck?
I had a screwed up
You
childhood.
uncultured
He's an
twats,
adult.
Glow and Kyle.
Should I go to Disneyland right now and
No,
go watch it?
you're an adult.
Disney
You don't
World,
need to
sorry.
do that
Disney
shit.
World, sorry.
Get
All
out
right.
of here.
Anyway, that's what I'm picturing here. Is the poof. Viserys dragon is where Viserys is, but it's not like. Well, I guess she said she heard like a crackling,
Ripping
and
and
a
a
great fire.
crackling of some great fire. It fucked
Like a
him up,
crackling,
man.
like
It,
meat crackling, like he
popped out
gets
of him.
roasted.
No, it like. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, poof, but I don't think it was like he turned into it. I think it consumed him. Came out of him, consumed him.
Well,
That's
whatever.
bad.
She ends up waking up and she's never been that scared in her life, and she's been very sweaty, and then she wakes up and it's her fucking wedding day.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is. They're kind of weird about the chronology here, right? The beginning of this was confusing. Glow read it at my house, and he got like you even asked me right away. You were like,
It says it's her wedding day.
you're like, is it her wedding? Because it
Or
starts off with it
says
being
she's
her
already
wedding day,
wed.
and then she's thinking about this conversation.
No, I don't think it was her wedding day. I thought it was the day before.
It said Daenerys Targaryen wed. The very first line: Daenerys Targaryen wed Khal Drogo with fear and barbaric splendor in the field beyond the walls of Pentos. For the Dothraki believed all things must be done. Blah blah blah. And then it talks about how Drogo called his Khalasar.
Maybe that meal was like breakfast, and oh no, because it says that the whole thing started with at dawn, right? The
I
ceremony.
guess you're right. Like maybe
It had to be the day before.
I think
It's
they're
whatever.
just setting up the wedding.
I was just thinking it was some time before. I didn't think it was necessarily immediately before.
There's no actual timetable for this story.
I'm sure there's something you can tie together, but yeah, I don't think it really matters. Sometime past, it's probably been like a couple weeks or month at least, just because they said that Drogo's like been outside setting up this like giant earthen ramp, basically like a stage made of dirt that they can like sit on. And during that time, Dany's moved into his old place, the Manse, which was like what the
Super nice
black
place.
stone or white towers with black ivy or vice versa. It was like all black and white.
I forget.
Yeah, so start the wedding. There's a ton of fucking people, literally like 100,000 people at this wedding. It's fucking crazy. People are drinking, eating, and the way they're sitting is they have this big earthen ramp. Dany and Khal Drogo are at the top. Then we got the Blood Riders. Then we got Viserys, Jorah.
No,
Illyrio.
Viserys is over higher than the Blood Riders.
No, he's not.
Bullshit. He said Viserys is right below Dany.
Right
Just
below the
below
Blood
her.
Riders.
I don't think you're right.
Just below the Call Zone Blood Riders. Theirs was a place of high honor, just below the Call Zone Blood Riders. But
Jeff just
Dany
quit
could
the
see the
podcast?
anger in her brother's lilac eyes.
Grabbing his
I'm
book.
reading it.
I know. I fucking just read it. That's why I said that. I thought Jeff quit because
101, Jeff. 101 about
Do you guys all have the same
two-thirds of
size
the way
book?
down. Yeah.
Jeff doesn't. Jeff has a middle version. bro.
I have
Kyle
like the
has it
box
over.
set.
Yeah, Kyle's same as Jeff.
Okay, you guys are all on the same page, and I'm like,
Viserys was
I'm
seated
on
just below her.
85.
Yeah, then keep reading.
No.
All right, so we all heard it because Kyle read it just before Jeff.
Well,
got
hang on,
back.
hang on. I missed this section. Viserys was seated just below her, splendid in a new black wool tunic with a scarlet dragon on the chest. Illyrio and Sir Jorah sat beside him. Oh, yeah, no. Sat beside him, and they were just below. No, yeah. I thought I was going to say they were below him, but no, it was, yeah.
So Viserys is pissed about that he's like got this shitty Spotify honor, so he's in a grumpy mood as always.
He's such a fucking little prick. How old is he? What's he, like,
He's-
19?
I think so. Yeah. I have to say it at some point.
You could probably figure it out based on like I think they probably say that the difference between the two of them or
How many moons have
Rhaegar.
gone by?
He was like
and,
8 years older than her. I
How
think.
many
I think he's like 22.
24 moons have passed by. That's 2 years.
I think he's like 22ish.
He's a pussy.
19 to 22 somewhere.
He's who's worse, him or?
So, but they mentioned that like during the wedding, Dany can literally talk to nobody because even though the Blood Riders are right there and Kyle's joking with them and Dothraki, like Viserys is a little bit further away, so she can't have conversations with him or Jorah or anybody. So she can't talk to anybody, but the cow's talking to his Blood Riders the whole time.
Yeah, she's all alone.
So what happens a quarter of the way through the wedding? That two things happen that Illyrio warned Dany about.
All right,
Well,
first one.
Biddy's
Kyle
be
can do it.
Biddy's be dancing for him.
Yeah, biddies be dancing, and what happens?
Biddy's began
and then what
fucked.
happens? Yeah,
yeah.
railed on the dance floor.
Dudes
Goes
start
from
popping
dance
out.
to a gang rape real quick.
Well, dudes just start popping out of the crowd and just
All right, so yeah, girls are getting fucked on the dance floor. Then after that, two guys start fighting over the same girl.
So the swords
It
are
sounded
out.
like two guys were fucking in the same girl at one point.
No,
too.
no.
No, I think the guy tried pulling the other girl.
Yeah, it says
off.
like I think it says like one guy ran out and grabbed a girl and started just fucking her like a horse, and then a bunch of other guys came in.
I think
and
they were fucking other
started
girls.
started grabbing other girls and started fucking them. But two guys went for the same girl,
Yeah.
and those two guys started fighting. The one guy slices the other guy from his belly button to his backbone, or backbone to belly button. That guy dies. They carry away the body, and the winner grabs the closest girl, who isn't even the girl they were fighting over,
and starts
and
fucking
starts
her.
fucking her.
And smushes.
What a land.
And then then they go back to dancing.
Yeah.
If I ever get married, I want a Dothraki style wedding.
Don't worry, ladies. It'll never happen.
if there are any
Don't worry,
ladies-
it'll never
If
happen.
there are any ladies out there who might be interested in having a Dothraki style wedding with me,
It'll never
Let me
happen.
know.
let me
Sweet.
know.
I'll bring my Iraq so I can make sure to kill somebody.
You will fight over somebody. All right, so and Illyria warned her of both these things.
Well, no, you even told her, like, if you don't have some deaths, man, your wedding fucking sucks.
Yeah, he said 3 is
Anything
is
less than
considered
3
dull.
is
Yeah.
considered a dull affair.
And she has 12
Yeah.
at her wedding.
Fuck yeah.
I feel like 12 is like considerably tame for having a party with 100,000 people.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's
Imagine
barely,
having a party of
it's
100,000
not
people.
even.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine anybody dying at my party of 100,000 people, but like,
I don't know, man. If everybody's wearing swords and just drinking fermented mare's milk all day.
100,000 people.
So moving on, she ends up getting a bunch of gifts from everybody,
Yep.
and I think the first ones are like
From
her
Viserys.
brother. Yeah,
Yeah. 3 handmaids.
2 Dothraki slaves, and then one is
Kyle, let's say these names.
a
Lysine.
white girl.
Let's say these names, Kyle.
fuck them all.
No, say
Doria?
the names, bro.
Where are they? Erie, Jaquia,
That's
and
good.
Lysine or whatever you
Yeah.
said.
Starts with a D.
Doria,
Doria.
Doria,
I would say Doria.
Dorito,
Diarrhea.
Jeff, how do you say these names?
Diarrhea.
Doritos.
Diarrhea.
Erie is
It's
good.
definitely Doria.
I say Jiqui and Doria.
Let me read them. Erie, Jaki, and Doria.
Jaki?
Jaki.
Like the planet in Star Wars? Jakku?
Jakku.
No.
Yeah.
Jaku.
I think it's Jiqui. That's how they say it in the
Jiqui?
show.
What is
Erie
she
and Jiqui.
fucking?
And it makes
Yeah,
sense.
what are you gonna say? What is she fucking what?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
what nationality does that sound like in the real world?
I wasn't gonna say anything about like real nationality.
Either you're wrong because there is no nationality that sounds like that, or you sound super racist for accusing.
Nah, I wasn't gonna
nationality
say nationality. I was gonna say another Star Wars thing, like fucking what's the guy that rides with Lando in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi?
Dengar.
No, he rides with Lando.
I know who you're
Han
talking about with
Solo.
the sweet visor.
I don't know who you're talking about.
No,
What
it's
the
like a
fuck?
fucking alien looking.
Doesn't he have like a
thing.
sweet visor?
No.
No.
The blue guy.
No. He's like orange.
The sweet visor guy's a
He's
bad
like
guy.
a lame ass hero in Battlefront
Okay, so-
1.
So wait, what's his what'd you
All
say?
right, we're
Rides
going
with
off-
Yeah,
Star
Lando?
whatever.
Wars.
Whatever.
Alright, back to Thrones.
Back to Thrones.
I'm not going back to it. No.
Doria, Eerie, Jiqui. Doria is there to teach her what?
Doria is there to teach her sex. Eerie is there to teach her horse riding, and then Jaquie or Jakku.
Nine Nub.
Neen
Noob.
Neenub.
What? I don't get that.
That's the guy from
That's
Star
his
Wars.
name.
Nine Nub Jiki. Jiki Dryqui.
Glad moved on completely.
I was
This
like,
is
what the fuck are
This
you
is the
talking
dude
about?
with the vagina face.
I could tell both these guys were googling like
Yeah.
by the way they were looking into the camera, so I knew it was coming.
I was reading the names, so I wasn't looking at their
Yeah,
eyes. I was
yeah.
like, dude,
He's got the
The-
vagina face. Yeah, that's that dude.
That's what I was saying. I wasn't
Yeah.
going to say a crazy nationality and sound racist.
Jaquie teaches her Dothraki.
Yeah, Dothraki, riding, and sex.
And Viserys and Illyrio both fucked Doria.
Yeah, like when Viserys like gives them,
And she's good at it. They should know.
That's why. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
she's a teacher. So Jorah, what's Jorah give her, Kyle?
Jorah gives her it was something small. Books.
8.
Bunch of books.
Books. Yeah,
Yeah.
books and songs.
It's all
Or
poor
books of
exile
histories
could
and
afford.
songs. And
Poor guy.
Jeff, what does Illyrio give her?
A bunch of fine silks and garments, and then 3 dragon eggs.
Woo! What are their colors?
One is green and with gold shimmers. One is white.
Cream.
Whatever. It says
Wrong.
almost white. White with
I-
gold shimmers, and one is black as midnight but still
Red,
alive
right?
with scarlet shimmers.
Yeah.
We probably already talked about it when we did the Dunkin' Egg stuff. Because there's a dragon egg in one of those stories. These dragon eggs must look ridiculous. When she sees it, before she picks it up, she thinks it's like blown glass or
Yeah,
like porcelain.
Yeah,
Like
I mean they got to be like
ancient
fucking
China.
amazing looking.
Yeah, dude. In the books, or in the show, they're just like big rocks. They
Oh,
don't-
really?
I mean, they
Yeah,
look like
like
kind of cool because
fossils.
they're like big rocks with scales on them. They look kind of cool, but like
They don't look that
they
cool.
don't look like this.
No, they
I
sound
I
awesome.
think these are like more Easter eggs, like fucking vibrant as shit, like big and colorful and
Yeah, she says they're big. She has to pick them up with 2 hands. I mean, she is 13. She has tiny hands.
Yeah. So how big are these things? Like ostrich eggs?
I'm
Bigger than
thinking
that.
bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Like 2 ostrich eggs?
I don't know.
Ostrich eggs
I've never
are-
seen
are
an ostrich
2
egg.
hands?
Ostrich egg.
I don't
Oh,
think so. I think you
ostrich.
can palm an ostrich egg.
Not a 13-year-old girl.
You're right. but I think-
13-year-old girl has already hit puberty. She's probably fucking bigger
No,
than
I'm thinking like
13-year-old boys.
like a football, like at least more egg shaped.
Okay.
but like,
Okay. I think football is probably a good size. That's not 2 ostrich eggs. That's like a 1.5 ostrich egg.
Are we talking
I
Wilson
I
GST
single-handed
or are
a
we
football,
talking?
dude. I one-hand Wilson GSTs.
yeah, but
Oh,
from-
you are so cool, Glow. You have such big hands.
Glow's
Nah,
never caught a
medium
football in his life.
Yeah, right, Feds. You throw me plenty.
True.
All right. Next, after that, Blood Riders. What happens to the Blood Riders? Glow.
The Blood Riders each.
Oh, wait,
give
hold
her
on.
gifts.
First off,
They're all
can
weapons.
anybody name the Blood Riders' names off the top of their head,
No.
Jeff, without looking at your book? in
Fuck
front of you?
those douchebags.
I think I can.
No, I don't
Go
even.
for it, Glow.
I don't know one.
Hago, Kaholo.
You're
and...
reading. You're fucking reading.
Kotho?
Yeah.
I'm reading as well.
Yeah, it's Hago, Coachella, and Quotho.
Coachella. What is this? A fucking rave?
It's Kaholo.
Coachella.
So Hago gives a great leather whip with silver handle, Kaholo a rock with chased in gold, and Kotho double curved dragon bone bow taller than he was. She
Can you
was.
fucking read?
This
It was a
kid can't
long
even read.
description. But yeah, but since there are all three weapons, she kindly says in the Dothraki tongue to give them to her husband.
Yeah, it's like what
he's a warrior.
Jorah taught her, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
he says, like, I am not worthy of this blood of my blood, but give it to my Cal, who's a great warrior.
No, it's like, these are dope, but I can't have them. Yeah.
These
Yeah,
are dope
I'm not
as
worthy.
shit.
So then it says she gets, like, a bunch more fucking gifts from like, other people, and they're just, like, piling up.
Oh, yeah.
all bullshit
It's
gifts.
not just
like
a bunch more. It's
leather
like
vests
fucking,
and shit.
Yeah.
Leather vests and slippers. Yeah, so, like, we didn't talk about it, but, like, the Dothraki people, it said that they are, like, copper skin, almond-shaped eyes, black hair, and they wear, like, painted leather vests and horsehair pants
Leggings.
Pantaloons.
with leggings. Does that mean skin tight?
I mean, that's what they said. That's how they.
Yoga
Refer
pants,
to
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's fine.
The Dothraki wear horsehair
spandex
yoga
out there.
pants.
They got spandex going.
The girls, it says pink right up on, like, the waistband on the back.
Slut.
They all have butterfly tattoos in the back.
Yeah, they're big tramp stamp tribe. So after he gets all these piles of shit, oh, and then so it says they also, a lot of them wear bronze medallion belts
To
like
hold
around
it all
the hips.
together.
So then Drogo comes up forward and gives Dany her last bride's gift, which is
The silver.
The wind. The wind.
it's a young filly. Do you know what filly is? I looked it up.
You had to look that up?
What's a filly?
It's a
fucking
female.
baby horse. Baby female horse.
A
Yeah.
female horse that's
Young-
younger than a
young
mare. There's
female.
like some age cutoff where all of a sudden a filly becomes
That's
a
like
mare.
all that they can run at the Derby, right? And then all that runs there is fillies.
I thought that meant they were all from Philly.
No.
Dad joke.
Dad joke.
So this horse is dope. It's as gray as the winter sea with a mane like silver smoke.
Yeah, once she mounts it, though, Khal Drogo places her on the horse, and then she starts riding it, and, like, it almost feels
Which
natural.
she's scared as fuck.
Yeah, she's scared at first, but when they start riding, she's like, alright, I feel this. And then, like, whatever she does, the horse reacts right away. So it's, like, almost like a connection, dude.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
odd.
Did I write that down? I said it to like Glow and I were reading this at the same time, and I said it to Glow as I was reading it. So she gets on the horse, and or Khal Drogo puts her on the horse, and he doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do, so she asks Illyrio, like, what am I supposed to do? And Jorah says, just ride. Like, all they want you to do is, like, try it out, basically. Take it for a test
Yeah,
drive.
you ain't gotta go far.
As soon as she touches the sides and, like, gets going, it says, this quote, I don't know, it jumped out to me. It said, when the horse starts moving, she thinks that, like, it was the first time in hours that she had forgot to be afraid, maybe the first time in her whole life.
It was a very freeing moment.
She's
That's
a
how
big
I think.
fan.
I don't know. Nelson was trying to say it's like kind of a connection between the two.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's
I
more
think
of a
it's like the
freeing
wolf.
moment.
It's
like
almost
you're
like the
saying.
wolf thing.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, for sure.
For sure.
I think she gets like fired up, and like she's like a timid girl who's been sitting at a terrified wedding, literally just thinking about like getting fucked.
I mean, just think about the first time you got your license and you're actually allowed to drive by yourself. Like, that's a fucking liberating feeling right there. Like, holy shit, like, this is my horse, like, I'm fucking
Yeah,
out.
but you're still scared riding fucking highway the first time ever.
Yeah, dude. When you get on the highway by yourself the first time,
Fuck
Nobody
no.
said she was on the highway. She's
Shut up,
fucking
Kyle.
taking for a spin around the block.
Yeah, but
She's not going
Yeah, but
far.
she jumped over a fire.
Yeah, dude, she fucking.
The
Maybe-
horse
She did a
jumped.
loop-de-loop on the
fire.
highway.
The horse
She
jumped
did a
over. Let's be
loop-de-loop on the
clear.
highway.
The horse jumped over the fire. She didn't jump over shit.
Also,
The cow jumped over the moon, alright?
so she rides around this thing, and like, again, she just planned on doing a little trot, like trotting around and then coming back. But she like gets like fired up and just like takes off and like jumps over fire, does all this cool stuff. And when it says, the quote is, when she pulled up before Magister Illyrio, she said, "Tell Khal Drogo that he has given me the wind." The fat Pentoshi stroked his yellow beard, and as he repeated the words in Dothraki, and Dany saw her new husband smile for the first time.
That's a cute little moment for
It
them.
is a cute
Yeah.
moment for this 28-year-old and 13-year-old. I'm just going to keep hammering that part home for the last part of this chapter.
Oh,
That's
God.
what George wants you to do, man.
Yeah.
He's all about that.
So, all right, last part. Drogo calls for his horse. They bring it up and said it's a red stallion. Viserys goes up to Dany and he's an ass one more time. He's like, make sure you please him or you'll see the dragon get woken like he's never been woken before, blah, 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 blah. And so she's afraid all again.
But she's married to this, like, beast dude. Like, shouldn't this dude fuck him up if he does something like that?
So the thing is, I think Khal Drogo probably would have fucked this guy up already if he understood what he was saying.
Yeah.
The language barrier is kind of helping Viserys out right now. And it's not even like Dany could be like, you know what he just said to me?
Yeah.
And it's not like Dany could be like, Illyrio, tell him what he just said to me, because technically right now, Illyrio
is working for fucking
is
Viserys.
like, yeah, is under Viserys, not Dany. Like, he just was part of selling Dany.
Yeah.
They even said that in this, like, he got a shit ton of fucking money and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's
when
why
he
it
gives
wasn't
him
a
the
big
eggs,
deal that he bought him these eggs and the silks.
Yeah.
Like, that was nothing.
Yeah.
So Drogo gets on his horse, and the wedding basically ends, and Drogo starts leading her out, like, away from the Khalasar. They're both riding horses, and he's, like, going pretty fast, and she has to follow along.
But, like, when she's following behind him, and this happens a couple other times throughout the chapter, and I didn't mention it, but I wrote in my notes, but we kind of been skimming a little bit, because it's a long one. Anytime she, like, starts feeling, like, super afraid, or, like, starts thinking of the fact that she's gonna have to fuck this huge guy.
Dragonborn.
She just, like, hypes herself up. She's like, I'm the blood of the dragon. I'm a Targaryen. Blah. Yeah, I rock. It's all in her head. But this time, because, like, there's nobody else around, and she's, like, on a horse, she's, like, literally just saying it out loud. She's like, I'm the blood of the dragon. I fucking rock. You're that bad bitch. Go get this dick. That kind of shit.
Go get this dick.
All right, so Glow, why don't you explain what happens once they stop? Or Jeff,
yeah,
tell me
Jeff,
what
you've
happens
been quiet for a while. You're up, dude.
You're the one who loves this the sexual relations between a 13-year-old and a 28-year-old.
All right, one thing. Let's stop getting all freaked out about this. It's time, like medieval times. This happened all the fucking time back in the day. It's not a big fucking deal. Well, it happens.
Doesn't make it. You don't have to be comfortable with it, Jeff. Okay, you can.
It's
still
fucking
be
fiction.
It hurts inside to read, man.
Dude, tough times breed tough people. You know what I mean? This is tough times back then.
The thing is, my thing about this,
life expectancy was much shorter as well, but it's just weird to read, man.
I don't think it's
I understand what you're saying. You're not wrong. It's just.
And George R. R. Martin has said many times he wants us to be like extremely uncomfortable. Jeff is taking it in the opposite direction. Jeff like went home
He's pumped
and
about
hid
it.
under his covers and got a bottle of lotion and a couple of tissues after he read this chapter.
Not true. The only thing is when I read this
during Nelson,
not after during.
You're wrong.
How it happened in the show with Amelia Clark.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it's not like I'm thinking of a 13-year-old fucking girl. I'm thinking of grown-ass Amelia Clark.
Yeah, who's a babe. That's the problem.
So it's not a big deal in my mind because I'm just picturing Amelia Clark.
But the reason that
I agree with Jeff on that point.
So that's a good point, and I agree with you. But I'm like purposely trying to not do that because not only does it, the good thing about doing that is it makes these scenes way less cringy. But the bad thing is it makes when she gets on a horse for the first time like ever, right, by herself. She says she's riding palanquins. Yeah. She literally takes it to a full gallop and jumps over a fucking fire as a 13-year-old girl. On a horse for the she's never ridden a horse by herself.
Well, she said she was okay at riding a horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's
not
a fucking rider, and she is a 13-year-old kid who just jumped over a fucking
13-year-old kid. That
my sister at her 9th birthday party went to a horse ranch and they got walked around in a super slow circle.
Your sister's just not an athlete. Maybe Daenerys has a little bit of athletic ability where she can squeeze her thighs onto a horse's saddle and not fall off like fucking.
Well, no, and she also your sister hasn't been riding since she was a little kid. That wasn't her main mode of transportation.
I got you, but still, it's pretty impressive that a 13-year-old girl can do what she did on this horse.
No, I know, and I
could have been a fucking fluke. She could have just been holding on for dear life, and the horse is just like,
she
fuck
decided to do
that. She said she's comfy as shit on the horse, bro.
I mean, and they said this horse was the pride of the Khalasar, so I'm sure most of the work was done by the horse, but still, like as a group of like 100,000 people, you just see your badass king marrying this little girl, and you're like, wow, she's just sitting up there doing nothing this entire wedding. And then all of a sudden she gets on a fucking horse and starts galloping around and jumps over a fire. You're like, okay, this bitch is pretty dope.
This bitch is cool, dog.
Yeah. But when you're thinking of her as Amelia Clark, it's like, oh, Amelia Clark rode a horse.
The only time I'm thinking of Amelia Clark is when she's getting banged. Do you think I give a shit who's riding the fucking horse?
I don't know. I think it's worthwhile to think of them as the right age that they're supposed to be in these books. So that's like
Oh
a
yeah,
point of it.
you're
That's
missing the impact.
We're
if you're
taking way
thinking
too
about the
much
show.
fucking
Yeah.
time
We're talking
on
about kid sex
who's
way
fucking
too much
riding a
here.
horse
Let's
and
go.
your sister's fucking 9th birthday party. And
All right, Jeff, go ahead. Tell us what happens.
so they pretty much go to a spot, and he starts undressing her, and she's scared, she's crying, and all he can say is no, and
Well, it was
no.
even before like he started undressing her that he started saying no, which was
Well,
kinda
yeah,
weird.
she started crying.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, don't cry.
Yeah.
Don't be
Well,
a bitch."
okay. So then Drogo's just like no, like puts her on a rock, like he starts like
They're-
kind of
they're
like
eye to eye
feeling her
finally.
hair and shit like that, and
I thought it was funny that they made sure to like when he was sitting down is the first time they ever looked eye to eye. Really.
Yeah, that was funny. That,
I think
that-
it's
that
really
gave me a
weird
little
that he's this big, strong dude, like rough hands, like just fucking savage, and they describe him as very gentle here, with really
Yeah.
soft touch and like caressing Daenerys. Like at no point is it gonna be like just a fucking
Well, it's not
savage.
rape.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
having
yeah.
sex on the dance floor. It doesn't seem like that at all. It's
She was,
actual.
yeah, like she was
intimacy.
surprised. Like she was surprised by how this went down. And what's really weird is I don't know if you remember, Jeff. Does it go down like this in the show?
No, it's like a rape scene in the show.
She's like crying in the show.
Yeah, and I mean, she even Amelia Clark in interviews refers to it as getting raped.
Yeah.
And this is like the farthest thing. Like he asks her consent, and she says yes, and she's
Yeah.
It's a lot different, which I think is a different arc of Cal Drogo. So
All right, Kyle. I want you to read the last sign out of this chapter before we let you go.
Oh, he stopped then and drew her down onto his lap. Dany was flushed and breathless, her heart fluttering in her chest. He cupped her face in his huge hands, and she looked into his eyes. No, he said, and she knew it was a question. She took his hand and moved it down to the wetness between her thighs. Yes, she whispered as she put his finger inside her.
Yes.
Yes! Ugh.
So he's
You're
like
good at that.
Drogo's like what, like 6'8", long ass
Yeah,
hair past
he
his
sounds like a
ass. And he
beast.
says he had a mustachio, right?
Yeah.
Got a dope mustachio. All right, well that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
Kyle, thoughts besides the last part?
Well, I mean, it seemed like she was into it at the end. Like she understood that this wasn't quite so bad, or she was accepting it. Rather, is probably the better way to put it. And so I don't know. The whole thing leading up to it seemed like she was going to be against it, to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And
She was,
then
like,
it
scared of it
kind
the entire wedding.
switched at the end.
The
So-
blood of the dragon
So
came out.
this
yeah.
is, I feel like this is a good opportunity for us to get like a good prediction from Kyle. Like this storyline, like you said, you don't really know much except for she gets dragons, right? So where do we go from here? They told us what their next step is. They're taking her to some Dothraki city. But like, as a character, like what do you expect in the next chapter? As like not like what events happen, but like for Dany herself, like is she a badass bitch now that she fucked this guy and she
Well, I
rides
mean,
his horse?
I do know, like, I guess that part of the story as well, that like she kind of hardens over time. Like from the last season, I know she like burns that old town in the show, and everybody hates that. But I mean, I do know that.
So the last season is also over 5 books away.
Yeah.
So we got a long way to go. I'm not saying like you think she's gonna be badass
I
next
think it's
chapter.
going to be an arc to where no. I think it's going to be a slow arc until she becomes this broken, fucked up lady.
Nice.
All right.
All right, Kyle. Have a wonderful evening, my friend.
Thanks, guys. You too. Good night. Later on.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, and we are back into the spoiler section.
We'll miss you, Kyle.
bye,
Have a
Kyle.
good one, bud.
bye, Kyle. Is there anything really spoiler-y to talk about?
There are a few things.
Do you think Dany's warging the fucking horse?
No, but I think there's some stuff into the horse, and this is where I'm gonna be careful with spoilers because some of the reason I think this horse isn't really important is in the Winds of Winter sample chapter. So we'll save the horse talk for the end, and then if you haven't read those you can jump out if you don't want anything. It's a minor spoiler, but I'll save it for
Doesn't
then.
it die?
No.
I don't think so.
It doesn't die.
It's alive. It's alive at the end of Dance.
It just dies in the show then?
Yeah, it dies in the show before she gets to Karth, on the way to Karth.
Yes.
So the first thing I have is
The dream?
no, it's actually before the dream. It's something Illyrio says to Viserys when Viserys is like demanding that he gets his payment. Illyrio says, "I've told you, all is settled. Trust me. The Cal has promised you a crown, and you shall have it."
No, foreshadow.
We know what happens to Viserys.
Yeah.
And
I think
Yeah.
the same thing is basically being foreshadowed in the dream too. It says his molten eyes, and I think.
I mean, do you really
molten
think
gold
Khal
lips in his
Drogo
eye.
really promised him a crown? Why the fuck does he care about? You know what I mean? Like, why would he care about that? To get Dany? You know what I mean?
I think that if Viserys wasn't an asshole and he waited, Drogo would have done what he wanted. Based on what Jorah says and how they always hold their
Right,
word.
but I'm saying, like, is Dany that great in Drogo's eyes that he'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll give you my army, just give me your sister? Like, I feel like he'd just be like, fuck it, I'll go find somebody else. Why would he sell himself for Dany? That's what I'm not understanding. If he's the Cal and the most powerful person, you know, he's not gonna be like, okay, I'll serve you, like, give me this girl. I don't think that's.
So there's a theory that the prophecy that Rhaegar thought was about him, how he was going to birth the prince that was promised. There's a similar prophecy in other cultures. There's like, again, I don't know the evidence off the top of my head, but apparently there's like evidence in here that Drogon is marrying her because she is one of the last Valyrians alive, right, from ancient Valyria for her bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a theory that the Green Grace wants her to marry Hisdar in Book 5 for the same reason, for bloodlines. I think the only evidence we've had so far is when, in the first Dany chapter, Viserys asks Illyrio, why does Drogo want her? She's a little girl. Like, is he just a creep? Like, Viserys says that, and Illyrio answers, she is, without a doubt, the blood of old Valyria. There's no question in it. So we know that that's why that's one of the reasons why Drogo is marrying her. People think that it's because there's like some sort of prophecy.
Okay. It still doesn't say why he would fight for Viserys afterwards. In exchange of her? I don't.
So what happens later on? Like, they literally followed the same prophecy Rhaegar had. Rhaegar thought he was going to have a son who was the prince of his promise, saves the world. Once Dany gets pregnant, they are convinced it's the stallion who mounts the world and he'll take over everything.
Right. All I'm saying is, and I'll stop saying it. Why wouldn't he just take her if she thinks?
Oh,
because they have a deal with Pentos. Like they help each other out. He doesn't want to ruin that relationship.
I get what you're saying.
Illyrio, who's his like main money guy.
You're saying like Conquest of the Seven Kingdoms is like a ton of work, and it's way easy. Like, he would get the same outcome for less work if he just sacked Pentos instead of having to sack all of the Seven Kingdoms.
There's nothing for him to gain by going and sacking the Seven Kingdoms.
And also, Dany does mention that he paid a lot of money to Illyrio to marry her, which is also weird.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, he would just take her. I don't know.
That is a good point.
That's a good point. But I think the reason why he's interested in her specifically...
Sure, I think that's a good point. The old Valyria bullshit.
But why would he just
Why wouldn't he just fucking take her? If she's that important to the kid who's going to ride fucking the horse, he would just take her. It wouldn't matter. He'd be like, fuck it, I'm taking her. She's the one.
Yeah.
I still think Pentos could put up a fight. Like, would fight.
I think so too, but
they
I
could
think
buy
the
cell
Seven Kingdoms
swords, they could do all that. I think he doesn't want to deal with the trouble.
Fight. Right? Seven Kingdoms puts up a bigger fight.
Yeah, but I also think Illyrio might have just said,
again,
ignore
Drogo's
him.
not
You can
worried
kill him
about the
at some
Seven
point.
Kingdoms unless he promises
That's what I'm
Viserys
saying.
that he takes
Illyrio's probably like, yeah, we told him that you get him a crown. Just kill him at some point, you know?
Oh, that I can see that.
Because they don't really want Viserys to get the crown anyway.
Yeah, I can 100% see that. So, Jeff, the thing that Glow and I just looked up was, Glow said something about what were you saying about the molten gold?
The molten gold eyes. Saying the dragon had molten gold eyes, and I thought that was kind of foreshadowing that Viserys was going to get a gold all over his face and eyes and all that shit, you know?
And what I thought in my head was...
I don't think
one of
that
the
dragon is
dragons has gold.
Viserys.
So I said one of the dragons has golden eyes. It's Viserion,
Yeah.
the one named after Viserys.
So Viserys turns into Viserion, basically.
Yeah. So there's another thing that I'm not 100% sure on. I haven't reread these books with this in mind. But Dany has a few dreams in this book. I think she has like 4 dreams, which is why I have a tab for Dany's dreams in my notes. And after each one, she like overcomes a great fear, which is why I was kind of asking that question towards Kyle at the end of the thing. It's like, do you think she's gonna be like more mature and less afraid now? She's not. The next couple chapters, she goes back to being a scared little bitch again until she has her next dream. Then that like kind of sparks something, and then I forget what it is, but she does something badass. She has a couple more dreams, does more badass stuff after each dream. Lastly, she has a dream that says walk into a fucking fire, and she walks into a fire and gives birth to the dragons. So it seems like these dreams are encouraging things. And also in this dream, so Viserys gets replaced by a dragon, and that we know Dany has 3 dragons. She names them after her brother Viserys, her brother Rhaegar, and
Khal
Drogo. Viserion, who is the one named after Viserys, is described as his scales are cream, his horns, wings, wing bones, and spinal crest are gold, his teeth are shining black, his claws are black and sharp, his eyes are 2 pools of molten gold. I think this is foreshadowing each dragon, and I bet
I mean,
that
the eggs
in future
foreshadow each
dreams,
dragon.
I know she has dreams about Drogo and Rhaegar in the future, and I bet she has dreams of Rhaegar, and then Rhaegar and then Rhaegal in the same dream, and Drogo and Drogon in the same dream, and coming up. I bet you that happens in this book. Besides that, the one other thing that I noticed in this dream is she says, she stumbled and fell. You woke the dragon, he screamed, as he kicked her. You woke the dragon. You woke the dragon. So 3 times they say you woke the dragon, and she gives birth, wakes 3 dragons.
Wow.
Big.
That I just think
Devil's in the details, Jeff. Quit being a dick.
I mean, this is the
I'm
first
just
dream
kidding.
we're getting. This is the first dream we're getting in this book series. I mean, you're right. That's not a. It's like, oh, crazy.
We're
who
about.
cares?
I just know we're about to go on a tangent, a Nelson tangent of.
No, we're not.
Of
I'm just
people
saying
in that fucking glass thing at the.
Well, I was gonna bring that up. Not in this. not in this podcast, but like in the
I
future.
started thinking about that.
That's why I'm
Glass
pointing
candles.
out the dreams to you right now, because it seems like they're affecting her mood. Like she overcomes fears afterwards. But this dream is just like a little. It's literally a paragraph, like 5 lines in the book, and it just shows you what is about to happen in future books in 2-page dream segments, where just like every sentence is like a little hint at something. Whether it's you repeating the same thing 3 times means something's going to happen 3 times, or the Viserys dragon thing, all that shit. So the last thing I had was the horse. So if you guys have anything else to talk about besides the horse before I get into potential Winds of Winter spoilers.
I mean, is it weird that Drogo like loved her, like made love to her, and didn't rape her?
I don't think that's that weird. I mean, it shows kindness.
Every
and
other
emotions.
man in the Khalasar is treating women just like they're fucking, just pieces of meat, and he showed affection. I think it's weird.
Maybe Illyria warned him, like, yeah, you gotta be nice to this girl. I don't know.
I mean, but
Again, I
also-
don't think he listens to Illyrio. He's gonna be like, "Fuck
Yeah.
you, Illyrio. I'm the call. Like, shut up, you little fucking fat fuck."
What I contribute that to is I've never seen one of my friends be romantic to their girlfriend, right? I'm sure it happens, but it doesn't happen in front of me because,
That's true.
like,
I've never-
you just like
yeah,
guys just don't do that.
What do you mean?
know,
I show affection all the time.
You're like, Deepom, go make me a sandwich. I love you. That kind of shit.
Never said.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, big romantic gestures don't normally happen in front of your guy friends. Probably because you'd get made fun of for being a pussy if you did.
Yeah,
That's
that
just
makes
like
sense.
that's just like guy culture. I'm sure it's the exact same thing here. If Drogo started being lovey-dovey to her in front of his 1,000 people, 10,000, 100,000 people who follow him because he's a badass, guess who just became less badass? You know what I mean? I think that's
true.
why.
I could see that, and he wasn't like soft to her during the wedding at all because
Yeah.
that would show.
Exactly. And
He didn't mount her on the fucking pedestal.
And I don't think. I bet you that the other Dothraki warriors, they'll throw anybody down and fuck them right there in front of them. Like, we know Drogo does that when they, like, fight battles later on in this book. He's fucking other slaves and shit. But I bet you the other warriors in Dothraki, when they're alone in their tents with their Dothraki booze,
They're like,
Twisted
I
nipples.
love you.
they're
I
spooning.
love you.
They're spooning.
All right. One other thing I would say. Do you think the Illyrio and what's that bald fat fuck from
Varys.
Varys are plotting right now? What's like the Varys Illyrio plot going on? You know, where does Varys stand on this whole deal?
So this is interesting because at this point, and for most of the books until Dance, you really think that Viserys and Illyrio are behind Viserys / Dany. Like, they're behind that group, right? They support Viserys until they realize Viserys is an ass, and they switch and support Daenerys. But come book 5, we know that they're 100% behind Aegon. Or at least Illyrio is. Right? And Varys seems to be on the same side as Illyrio. So, what are they doing here? If you think as, like, we need we're behind Aegon, what do we do with these other 2 Targaryens? If I was them, I'm thinking we want to marry Aegon to Dany, right?
Yeah.
This seems very counter to what they would want. Like, almost exactly opposite counter to what they would want.
Right.
So I'm not sure what their game plan is right here. Those two and Littlefinger are like the ones who like you never really know what they're doing.
Maybe they honestly think Khal Drogo's going to take over the Seven Kingdoms for them, even though I said the exact opposite earlier.
Well, the thing is, even if they think that, they don't want Viserys to be king. They want Aegon to be king.
Well, they could still think Viserys is going to die. Like, yo, kill Viserys.
Okay.
You and Dany are going to be the stallions that mount the world.
But the problem is now Dany's married.
To a fucking monster of a man.
With a huge army.
Who can take over Westeros.
And then just clear the path for Aegon?
So I think they're, again, I'm not...
I forgot you.
I need to read up on some of the theories around Illyrio, but I think one of them has to do with these dragon eggs. About him, like, planting Mary Mazdor in that lamb village, right? Because she isn't, like, a
native
there. She says she studies in the Citadel with Marwyn, who is the dude who has the glass candle and talks to Sam at the end, who's the dude who Qyburn studies with. Right, so Mary Mazdul isn't just like some barbarian witch doctor like she seems. She's like a very educated person. Why the fuck was she there? People think that Illyrio put her there, gave Dany dragon eggs, kind of inception Dany into thinking that it was going to be her idea to give birth to dragons, but really it's Illyrio being like, oh, here's all your ingredients. Oh, and here's a master chef. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I don't know how much evidence there is to it. That's something we can take an eye out for, but I think that's one of the theories. Anything else? So last thing...
My last thing is they talk about... One small thing I want to keep an eye out for is they talk about the dragon eggs being from the lands beyond Asai or Ashai,
yeah.
Shy.
I do want to learn...
With Jiki.
I do want to pay attention to where...
So this is another thing that's...
I don't know anything about it. I just know it's mystical and
So that actually reminded me of something to the point I was just making with Illyrio's plan. Jorah is probably Team Illyrio, right? Jorah is introduced to Viserys and Dany via Illyrio's party with the cow. That means Illyrio probably invited him. I doubt the cow invited him. Jorah, this entire book at least, is telling Dany, we need to go to Ashai. We need to go to Ashai. No, I think it's book 2 after Drogo's dead. We need to go to Ashai. 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 As soon as he stops working for Varys and stops informing on Dany, he no longer wants to go to Ashai. Which makes you think it's not Jorah who wants to go to Ashai, it's Illyrio who wants them to go to Ashai.
Yeah, I don't remember that far.
Yeah, we gotta read.
So this is stuff that we'll find out as we go. We're real early on. Just stuff to keep an eye out for. I think Ashai is important. The other main thing why people think Ashai is important because there's the whole like Quaithe prophecy. If you want to go east, you have to go west. If you want to go north, you have to go south. If you want to go, you got to blah 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 blah. Last thing, Pale Mare. I think Silver's really important. The thing I said where Dany gets on and she feels like it might be the first time in her whole life she's never felt afraid before. Also, there's another one of the prophecies is about beware the rider on the Pale Mare. People think that means there's the guy who rides into Meereen on a white horse and dies of the plague as soon as he gets through the gates and says Astapor is burning. Then a plague spreads out throughout the city. It's most likely dysentery from drinking bad water, not an actual disease spread by infection. But everybody thinks that's what the Pale Mare is, and that's what Dany should be afraid of. But it's very likely that this plague isn't a plague and it's dysentery from the descriptions they get. It's everybody who drinks the water. Anybody who drinks upstream of a certain point seems to be fine. The Dothraki are fine because they're not drinking that water. Early Unsullied are fine because they're not drinking that water. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that like hints to it being the water. So the Pale Mare is not likely a plague because there's likely no plague, which means what's the Pale Mare that she's supposed to beware? In the Winds of Winter sample chapter, so very minor spoiler if you don't want it, Barristan is going to war and he's riding Dany's silver. So people think that Beware the Rider on the Pale Mare is going to be Beware Barristan, or Barristan's going to ride out, get killed, someone's going to come back on his horse, Barristan's going to go out, get killed, someone's going to take his armor. He's wearing a very unique helmet that Dany gave to him specifically. So if Dany shows up and somebody had killed Barristan, has her silver, and has that helmet, they could probably pretty easily impersonate him.
Barristan's not dying.
Which is crazy because Barristan's
Not
toast in the show.
Dead.
Like
Dead.
season 4.
He's such a freak.
5.
He's killing people with a stick.
Yeah, Arsene Whitebeard. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
not.
badass.
He's not dying. He could walk out there fucking naked and with a stick and survive.
When does he kill people with a stick?
He saves Dany's life with a stick, and I think that's when he has to out himself as a knight. Alright, we done? That's it?
Yes.
Alright, good podcast, everybody. We'll see you next time in Eddard 2.
Bye bye.
We're going south.
See you, friends.